the Olympic Games.
Well, there's no question he is in the South. Very high temperatures, very high humidity. There is Leroy Burrell from Houston, Texas, world record holder at 100 meters, but a man who is quite a distance from the 1996 Olympic team at this point. He's been fighting injury, hoping to be fit enough for these trials.
But you know, Bob, in talking with Mike Marsh earlier this week, he said, trust me, he said, Leroy Burrell, Carl, and myself, we are in tremendous shape. We've increased our workload over 30% this year. We started training back in August. We've been diligent with it. He said, we are fit. And he's been improving a lot in the last couple of weeks. He might be, I hope he makes the team in that sense if he deserves it, but he may be a little bit shy of where he would be in 5 or 6 weeks if he does make the Olympic team.
And of tremendous dignity, Leroy Burrell. Now, starting over in lane 1 will be Tony McCall, 95 ACC champion at 100 meters. And Burrell in lane 2. Over in lane 3, David Oakes, senior at the University of Oklahoma. In lane 4 will be John Drummond from Culver City, California. Showtime at 100 meters. He likes to entertain the crowd. Over in lane 5, Terry Bowen, All-American at Fresno State in 1994. Lane 6 will be open. In lane 7, Henry Neal ran a lifetime best of 10 seconds flat earlier this year. In lane 8, Chris Cummings from LSU, third at the NCAA championships. In lane 9, Tim Montgomery from Norfolk State University.
And there's the clown prince of track and field. Track and field's answer to Mr. James Brown, Mr. Excitement. He loves to clown and relax. He said, the only time I really get serious, he said, about my running, other than my training sessions, he says, is when I hear runners take your marks. He said 5 minutes before the competition, I might be talking to somebody, a mother of a baby, or I might be high-fiving somebody. He said, but I like to relax.
The Atlantic Grand Prix 100 earlier this year, there was a long, flowery, and much-deserved introduction for Carl Lewis. John Drummond walked over, dropped to his knees, and gave him the "We are not worthy" salute. You watch Leroy Burrell. So many questions in his head right now.
One of the superb competitors, and he's been plagued with injuries over the last 3 or 4 years. Found time, however, in Lausanne, Switzerland in 1994 to set the world record of 9.85 seconds. He will be in lane 2. Watch lane 2 and lane 4 particularly. That's Burrell and Drummond.
First heat of the men's 100 meters. Gun is up.
Oh, false start. That was out in lane 5. I think Terrence Bowen gets that. I might add while we get a second, Drummond, a superb starter. You see Lewis as he just paces and goes through a time when most athletes don't enjoy, and that is the moments before you actually get out there and get your workout in.
We'll see Carl Lewis in the third heat of the men's 100 meters. Watching for the false start. Watch lane 5 in red.
Wow.
Terrence Bowen.
Tim Montgomery never left the blocks. He was so short. Montgomery in the far left of the corner of your screen ran 9.96 seconds, and it was the world junior record at the time back 2 years ago. He's shown a great deal of promise. He's just 21 years of age from Norfolk State. So to set lanes again, keep an eye on lane 2 and lane 4. There's Burrell in 2. The world record holder is in 2.
Once again, it is the 4 top finishers in each heat, plus the next 8 fastest times that will advance to the quarterfinals.
You'll see the quarterfinals later today on ESPN. The U.S. has dominated this sport. 38 medals in its lifetime. The next closest country is Germany with 8.
Again, the gun is up. That time, I think it was Drummond.
You are allowed one false start. They use the international rules here at the U.S. Olympic trials, and so you can have one. A second one, however, and you watch maybe a great deal of money. If you made the team, go out the window.
Yes.
Now, if we were back in the Greek days, when you got back to the starting blocks, they took out a bush of thorns, right, and they would beat you with it. I guess civilization has made some progress.
Surprised to see false starts in the first round of competition of the 100 line?
Yeah, I am. It is a time when the athlete should be focused on just getting out of the blocks cleanly and shouldn't be worried about trying to guess the gun.
John Drummond holds himself into the blocks, as does the rest of the field. Drummond, a gospel singer for Kirk Franklin and Company. Lane start this time, and a chorus line start. Drummond moving strongly in lane 5. Very close together. Bowen is close. Burrell in lane 2, I'm not sure, made it through among the top 4.
The time, 10 seconds flat. That is just terrific time. Boy, and there is virtually no wind. As a matter of fact, they ran into maybe something a little less than a 1 mile per hour headwind in the race. Virtually negligible. But let's take a look at this race again. Drummond, a notoriously good starter, and he gets out well. Next to him, that was the person you're looking at there, was David Oakes, and he is in lane 3. There is Drummond, and on the left of the screen is Bowen, and Bowen ran very, very well right up with Drummond. And looking back, little hard to see there. Burrell, I'm not sure. Let's take a look here, see if we can get an idea whether he finished in the top 4.
To the left of the screen is Oakes, who may have nipped Burrell. Running the call in lane 1, but Burrell has him handled at this point. Drummond, Bowen.
Well, we can't see the rest of the field, Bob. It's close whether he made 4th. Now, remember, the next 8 advance, I believe he will be in the final. That was a very fast heat, and taking a gauge at his time, he is probably something like 10-1, 10-2. I think he'll advance. Burrell will.
Officially 9:99. Here's Lewis Johnson with John Drummond.
John, getting some congratulations from the team. John, 9:99, the official time. Talk about the first false start at first, man. When you look nervous.
1 second. That was 9:99.
Okay.
It's a little faster than I was expecting to run today.
Okay.
I wanted to run 10 flat, and I'm happy. Thank the Lord.
All right.
I'll take 9:99. Hallelujah.
Listen, folks are not only expecting you to produce and make the team, but also the antics, the entertainment part of that. What do you have on tap for us at the trials this week?
What you talking about? What antics? I don't know something. I don't have a clue, man. I'm just out here trying to run a little track meet. I'm just trying to keep everybody honest. You know what I'm saying? I hope everybody that's ready to run makes this team. And I'm just, doing my thing. I don't know what y'all talking about these antics things.
All right, Bob. There you are, the biggest fan of track and field. John.
No obvious movement from Carl Lewis under the stadium watching that race unfold. 9:99, a good opener for this men's field at 100 meters. And we told you John Drummond was a bit of a showman. Having a good time, and that too is a part of the Olympic trials experience.
Bob, I can't emphasize enough while we look at the track, we get a second to talk about it. There you see Drummond's official time. Bowen was second, and Tim Montgomery took 3rd to advance. Remember, there could be many others from that round that will advance into the quarterfinal round coming up later tonight here at Olympic Stadium. But this track, the officials are after world records. It's great for corporate sponsorship. It's great for the games. And they have put down here a very fast surface. Underneath that is asphalt. And we'll be talking about the Grand Prix later. That's your sport, Bob.
Car racing coming up this weekend, and a great race it should be. The Formula One Grand Prix of Canada. The son of Canadian flag, Maple Leaf, Jacques Villeneuve. Villeneuve Circuit in Montreal, all a part of the action. We'll have qualifying on Saturday and the race on Sunday beginning at 12:50 p.m. Eastern Time, 9:50 a.m. Pacific. The Formula One Grand Prix of Canada on ESPN2.
May we?
Beautiful city, Montreal. Now, there is Dennis Mitchell as we get set for the next heat of the men's 100 meters. He'll be starting out in lane 9. Gainesville, Florida. Only American to make the last 5 championship teams. Remarkable consistency over time. The green machine, a little more black in the uniform this year, but one of the most intense men at the start of a 100-meter race you will ever see. Here are our lanes for this heat of the 100. In lane 1, Kenneth Brokenbrewer. In lane 2 will be Jonathan Carter out of Florida State. The best of 10.19. In lane 3, Brian Lewis from Norfolk State. 1996 Penn Relays champion. In lane 4, Interesting story this year, Jeff Williams from California. Lane 5 will be open. In lane 6 will be Jeff Lanes, two-time All-American at USC. In lane 7, great starter Maurice Green. Over in lane 8 will be Travis Grant. And in lane 9, the man you just saw, Dennis Mitchell.
Bob, the preferable lanes are the middle of the track, but in the first round of all these races, you draw to see where you wind up. So Dennis happens to get a tough draw on the outside, and based on time, they will then move to the center of the track for the quarterfinals, semis, and finals.
Keep in mind, athletes preparing for their heats know that that first heat was a quick one. So they may have to change their strategy. If they don't think they're going to be one of the top 4, they may have to run faster than they originally planned in this first round to ensure themselves a spot in the quarterfinals.
That's true, and the pressure comes on from the first race we saw at 10 seconds flat. There you see, we've moved from a ring in the ear to a ring on the eye of Mr. Dennis Mitchell. I wonder what his former Marine Corps drill instructor father thinks of that.
He also shaved his head. He wanted a new, younger look, although he says this particular look scares the daylights out of his baby daughter.
Watch Williams in 4, Lanes in 6. Dennis Mitchell in 9.
Good start. Once again, very closely matched. Like Brian Lewis running very well. Now Williams comes up to challenge him at the end. I think it was Jeff Williams unofficially. There you see him at age 30. One of the great stories of sprinting. Got into the game very late. I don't believe he actually started sprinting seriously until he was about 20 years old. And that is very late for the great stars.
Bob, what our viewers should understand, that was a 10.03 time for 100 meters, 10.031 hundredths of a second. A very slight favoring win, not worth talking about it. There you see Mitchell. But the only 3 runners in the world this year have gotten under legally, in other words, no aiding tailwind, 10 seconds for the 100. The other heats here, everybody's right on 10 seconds. And there you see Mitchell looking very comfortable, very sleek, no air drag with the hair, taking second possibly, but being right up there among the top 4. Powerfully built, Mr. Intensity is Dennis Mitchell. All 5 feet 9, 165 pounds of power as he heads down the track. Look at this. I mean, it looks like the Rockettes moving up to the finish line here. Jeff Williams, maybe Brian Lewis, and possibly Dennis in 3rd.
There's Dennis Mitchell, and Lewis Johnson is with him.
Come on, guys, we got to get out of here. Thanks, guys. Dennis, you ran 9.93 here 6 weeks ago. You're at 10 flats or right around there again. Is the track that fast, or are the emotions that high? Well, I don't know about the track, but me personally, I think it's the man. Today I'm coming out here, tomorrow I'm coming out here to put my thing down. And I don't care what kind of surface we run or who we run in front of. I got to get my job done. Quickly take me on the inside. What is it like to prepare for a meet like this where you have only 4 opportunities, 1 opportunity really, to make an Olympic team? It's like your last meal before death row, baby. Back up to you guys.
Oh, no, he's not intense. There is Jeff Williams, 10:03 unofficially. If it holds up, that will be a PR for him.
Taking a page from the motions of Linford Christie in Europe after he wins the race, holding those arms out, is Jeff Williams. A man who's kind of struggled with lethargy and do I really want to focus on this sport. A couple of years ago, dedicated himself to doing so.
Now there is the man, holder of 8 Olympic gold medals. 1 more, and he will tie Paavo Nurmi, great Finnish distance runner from the early part of this century, for gold medal tallies among track athletes. Nurmi, of course, ran some team events, cross-country, other things. Carl Lewis has had the most astonishing career. 17 years after he burst on the scene as a teenager from New Jersey, a long jump specialist then, he has been an absolutely incomparable athlete on the world stage.
There you see he has the outside lane, lane 9. Dr. Leroy Walker, the president of the U.S. Olympic Committee, has a great story, and of course he's in his 70s and very fit. He said, you know, there's 3 ages in life. There's youth, adult, and there's, hey, you're looking good. And athletically, that's what people are now saying to Carl. Boy, you're looking good. I mean, at 35, how many people can do what he does? Linford Christie is the only other person in history that has run as well.
Let's take a look at the men he'll be racing with. Over in in lane 1. Sam Jefferson from Houston, Texas, the 94 NCAA champion. Lane 2 will be open. In lane 3, number 662, Ron Clark, 94 U.S. national champ at 200 meters. In lane 4 will be Wendell Gaskin. He's hearing impaired. Will be using a visual start. Lane 5, Anthony Jones. Over in lane 6, Vincent Henderson, 94 graduate of the University of Arkansas. In lane 7 will be Rod Tolbert. Ran 10:23, a personal best for him earlier this year. In lane 8, Tim Harden, who has run 10:05, just completed his senior year at Kentucky. Outstanding indoor runner. Out in lane 9, of course, King Carl.
Carl has said, he told me yesterday, that he wants to run the first 60 to 80 meters hard. And he said, I want to press, and then if I'm really in control, then I'll ease back a little bit. But he showed the old Carl Lewis flash here about 3.5 weeks ago when he came back, and he lifted from about 40 meters, Bob, right straight through to the finish line, gained on everybody, and it, you could feel the crowd just kind of, whoa, they were so impressed with his lift. And it was the Carl Lewis of the last probably 10 years prior to 1991 and 2.
He's now lifting weights more than he ever did. A vegetarian diet. His body fat is down to 3%, which I believe is on a par with a concrete sidewalk.
And he says his body's about as strong and solid now. He says he's really built himself up tremendously. His weight got up to 200 pounds. He's back now to 186, very close to his true fighting weight.
All eyes will be on lane 9. Good start after a long hold. Not the quickest out of the blocks. We'll see if Carl can lift. It's all in the middle of the track right now. And Carl closes.
That was not an aberration on May 18th. That's the Carl of old. He just kind of lifted and moved, and the time, unofficially 10 and 10/100ths of a second, with a favoring tailwind of 1.1 meters. That is about 2.5 miles.
Let's get down to trackside in Lewis.
Carl, out in lane 9, benefit, disadvantage. Tell me about it.
Well, it's just normally okay. I just did nothing out of the blocks today, but I ran well the rest of the way, so I'm feeling good for the rest of the way.
Now, everybody's rolling really fast. We got a lot of times right at 10 flat. Your start is going to be critical for the rest of the meet, right?
Yeah, it sure is, and I have to make sure I concentrate and focus and do what I have to do. But I feel great physically.
Carl, tell everybody, you've got so many medals, you've got so many accolades in the world of track and field. Why are you back doing this again in 1996?
Well, it was a time to challenge myself to see what I can do. I've had many years of success, and now when it's tough, it's time to try to get tough with it and see what happens.
We'll see you back in the second round.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Carl. Back up.
Thanks, Lewis. As we take a look at the action once again, Carl stood up immediately. He was very slow away from the line. Meanwhile, Vincent Henderson in the middle of the track pulled away to a victory at 10.10 seconds.
Bob, Henderson's one of the surprises of this competition in coming into it. And there you see Carl. He really gets unraveled. 6'2", and it takes him a while to get unraveled out of the blocks. Very few guys can do it quickly in the first 20 meters. But Carl particularly has amongst the best top-end speed of anybody in history.
Absolutely. With a quick look to his left to make sure he was where he needed to be to advance, Carl Lewis moves on to the next round, and we'll be back with more live coverage. Qualifying for the U.S. Olympic Team 1996 continues here in Atlanta. Live inside the stadium that will seat 85,000 lucky ticket holders and many more standing for the opening ceremonies in 35 days' time. At these U.S. Olympic trials, here are the results of Heat 1 of the men's 100 meters. John Drummond at 9:99, setting the pace. 3 heats that have been completed to this point. In Heat 2, Jeff Williams won at 10:02. Keep in mind, it's the top 4 finishers and the next 8 fastest times that advance to the quarterfinals. Heat 3 won by Vincent Henderson at 10.10 seconds, a time matched by Carl Lewis in second place. And now we are ready for our 4th heat. Round one competition, the men's 100 meters. Out there in lane 8 is Michael Marsh, the reigning Olympic 200-meter champion, preparing to make his bid for a spot on the 100 meters team. In lane 1 will be Anthony Barnes. His best this season thus far is 10.18 seconds. In lane 2, Keith Williams. Strong indoor runner. In lane 3, Randall Evans. In lane 4, Andre Kaysen, another man with a lot to prove. He has trained for several years now here in the Atlanta area. In lane 5, Alvis Wedgett, North Carolina State sophomore. In lane 6, Todd Long out of the University of Oklahoma. In lane 7 will be Pete Hargraves, attended Cal Riverside. In lane 8, Michael Marsh, who ran very strongly in the only other track meet to precede these trials in this stadium. In lane 9, Slip Watkins, an All-American in his years at LSU.
I'm so impressed with this guy's character. He grew up in a tough section of Los Angeles, and I quote him. He said, "The seed for a little sadness was there, but what went on around me didn't bother me." He said, "I was the captain of my own soul." He had a very strong family structure and family background, and he thinks that these rounds are really good to do because he says they test character in a person.
He's recovered from a hypothyroid condition which requires him to take supplements. He said he has never worked as hard as he has for this season.
And Bobby's run really, really well. Let's see how he does here.
Marsh in 8. Movement again. Whoa, look at the start in lane 4 for Andre Kaysen. He knew he was a good starter, but this is an astonishing explosion. Kaysen out front. Marsh closes strongly at the end.
Where has he been this year? He's lying low, so to speak, and just not really been a factor for the last couple of years, has been Andre Kaysen. He kind of slid back after the Nationals in 1984, and that was a brilliant start. He's known as a great starter, and Marsh ran really well. The explosion from the blocks, he perhaps has a tenth of a second on everybody by the third or fourth step. And at this point in the race, he probably has 2 or 3 tenths of a second. And he held that margin of victory. Just
in control.
Boy, I tell you, Andre Kaysen is back, having run extraordinarily well several years ago in Stuttgart at the World Indoor Championships in 1993. And there's Michael, just again, trying to focus, run relaxed. He said, "I'm more mature, I'm more focused, I can run better than I could even as the Olympic champion in 1992. And now, 29 years of age, he said, "I'm at the zenith of my capabilities, and I'm healthy." Great camera work, guys.
Extraordinary concentration. It's almost as though they hold their breath for the distance. For Kaysen, a victory that carries so much symbolism. A man trying to get back to the top. What better stage than these Olympic trials? Andre Kaysen wins the 4th heat of the men's 100 meters. We'll be back with more live coverage from the Olympic Stadium in just a moment.